Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you 7 tips in order to find more time in order to read. Okay, one of the questions which I get asked a lot in my channel in the comments is how do I find the time to read? This is mainly because I have a full-time job. If you didn't know it, I have to work for at least 8 to 9 hours on a daily basis. Now it's okay because since most of us are working from home, I don't have the commute time of like 2 to 3 hours which I have to spend every day while traveling, and also the dressing up time or getting ready in order to go to office and come back. All those things, they are totally cut down, and we're also alone, which means that obviously we'll have more time. Even when I used to commute to work, I used to read a lot more than normal people do, and that's in this video I'm going to try and tell you how I fit reading into the amount of time that I have on a daily basis so that it can help you in order to read more. So without any further ado, let's get into the tips. Tip number 1 is reading labs. Okay, reading labs is just that you have to divide the entire reading time that you've allocated for the day into chunks and try to read during that chunks of time. So what I do actually is I make a point that I should read for at least 2 hours every day, and it's not possible for me to sit for 2 hours straight and read during a regular working day because work is there obviously, and I also have other daily chores which I have to do, and it's not possible to sit for 2 hours straight and read. So what I do is I divide this 2 hours into 4 hours of half, and it's easier for me to read for half an hour rather than just sitting down and reading for 2 hours. Okay, 2 hours might seem like a long time to read, but when it comes to just reading for half an hour, it is way too much easier, and also I'll be able to relax my mind a bit. Okay, if there's a lot of work to do, I'll work for like 2 or 3 hours, then I'll sit for half an hour and read. It helps to relax my mind. Also, it also helps me to read a lot more comparatively, and at the end of the day I would have read for 2 hours, but it will not be 2 hours straight because of the labs that I took, and it really helps a lot. If you're planning to get into reading or read a lot more, then you have to take reading labs. Don't just sit down and read it at a stretch because it will stress you out and you'll not enjoy reading. My tip number 2 is schedule reading. Now this plays a major part when it comes to reading labs also. What I told in reading labs is that you have to divide your entire reading time into small chunks. Now when it comes to schedule reading, it concerns more with placing these chunks of reading into specific parts of your day. Okay, for example, I'll give an example for this one also. While I used to commute to work, I had almost like 2 to 3 hours of travel time alone, and of those 2 to 3 hours I'll be able to sit for at least 1 hour. Okay, it's not possible to sit for all the 3 hours totally, but it is very much highly possible to sit for at least 1 hour, and I make a point that I fit 2 of these labs, half an hour labs in that time during which I sit, so it will be easier for me to read. Obviously I can listen to audiobooks, or I can just sit down and physically read. If it is so crowded, I'll go for audiobooks. If it is a normal crowd, then I'll be able to physically read because I don't want to damage my books, as well as I want to get reading done. It's not possible for us to have more than 24 hours in a day. So what you have to try is, while dividing the chunks, you have to place the chunks in certain parts of the day during which you will have free time in order to read. My tip number 3 is just a single word: audiobooks. Okay, they are the best way to read if you don't have enough time to read, because we are living in a digital world. Okay, so don't just stick with the old school method of physically reading books. I love reading books physically because that's the best way to read them, but in the world that we are today, in which we are today, it's not possible to always physically read books because of the time that we have and the amount of energy that we spend in different tasks. Okay, sitting down and reading, it requires a lot of concentration and patience, which we people nowadays lack a lot because of the amount of energy that we spend in other things, especially screens. And what I say is, just go for audiobooks. They can be heard or listened to while you're doing any kind of mundane stuff during the day. Okay, for example, when I read audiobooks is I try to walk for at least half an hour or 1 hour every day, and during that time there's no other work that I can do. So instead of listening to music, what I do is I just plug in my earphones and listen to audiobooks or audio programs, because they are a bit more productive and they give me something from that time. I'm multitasking at the same time. I get my walking done as well as I make some reading done in that time itself. So always try to read audiobooks. If they might be hard to get into in the beginning, but once you practice, they are so easy to get into, and they're also very much addictive. You will end up reading a lot more, which is a great sign. And just try audiobooks because they are so awesome, especially during in the world that we are today. My tip number 4 is to read a specific number of pages within a given amount of time. For example, I said the first 2 tips, right? That is dividing your time into chunks and scheduling those chunks during parts of the day which you feel is free. What you should do is always try to set up goals, okay? If you're reading for half an hour, don't keep up like huge goals like in 30 minutes I have to read 30 pages, because it's not always possible. Sometimes the word count might be so high for a book. It's literally not possible for a normal average reader in order to read 30 pages within half an hour. And usually I also cannot. I can read like a maximum of 20 or 25 pages within half an hour. That itself is a maximum cap for me. So what I try to do is set up achievable goals, okay? If you have 30 minutes, try to read 15 pages within those 30 minutes. So what happens is, while you're reading for 2 hours, you'll end up reading 60 pages, which is way better than not reading at all, okay? If you're reading for half an hour 4 times a day, you'll be reading 15 pages each time, and at the end of the day you'll have ended up reading up 60 pages, which is a really good count if you ask me. Even 10 pages a day is really great, okay, because most people in the world don't even do that. But if you end up reading 60 pages, it is way too better, and I'm sure that you're into that mode of reading a lot more compared to other people. My tip number 5 is one which you have to keep in mind always, okay? No matter what you do, keep this one alone always in your mind. It is that you cannot stress yourself to do anything. If you stress yourself to read, you'll obviously end up hating to read, because reading is something which you must do out of love, okay? If you sit down and think like reading that, it is my duty to read right now, you'll not be able to read at all. Please trust me. You should not stress yourself. Even while I said about scheduling and setting up goals in order to read, don't set like unachievable goals at all, okay? Even if you set up a goal of 10 pages within half an hour, it is great, okay? Believe me, it is so great. But if you end up fixing goals like in half an hour I'll be reading 50 pages, it's not going to work. Please trust me, it will not work, and you'll end up not at all reading again. So always try not to stress yourself, because that's the worst thing that you can do. Finally, tip number 7. Now tip number 7 is the most efficient. So if you stayed up until now, congrats, because you're going to get the best tip, and it is also the toughest to follow, so that's why I put it in the last. It is that you have to do reading as the first thing in the morning, okay? Now you're waking up in the morning, you're brushing your teeth, you're having a beverage or whatever in the morning. After that, just sit down and read for at least like 15 to 30 minutes, because that's the time during which you'll have the most energy in your body, and you'll be able to concentrate a lot more. Always our parents say, right, wake up early in the morning and read. They say that mainly because read in the sense of study, okay, when it comes to school and college. Why they say it? Because during the morning our brain waves are so active, you will be able to understand and grasp things better in the morning. It's biologically proven. So if you want to get into reading, if you want to read more, that's the main focus for you, then you have to get up in the morning, and instead of taking your mobile, you have to pick up a book and just read. One thing which can help you in order to do reading as the first thing in the morning is that while you're going to bed, just place a book next to your pillow and not your phone, okay? Your phone can be there, but also place a book next to your pillow, because that will drive you to read more in the morning, because it will be like monitoring you. Now you have to look into me, not into your phone. It is something like that. I followed that during the time when I in the transition between college and work, okay? I had like 3.5 months time between finishing college and starting work. During that time, what I did was, I saw this one also actually somewhere on the internet, and I thought of giving it a go, and it was very, very effective, guys. That was that is actually the part in my life which actually changed my attitude towards reading and how much I read, and it is very, very helpful. So if you're having free time right now, do try and read the first thing in the morning, because it is the most efficient way you can fit more reading into your schedule. Okay, that's all for today. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did find it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel, because I make videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.